Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here, and we are receiving Vera 2.0 on October 20th, as well as Ruby, the brand new Simulacrum set to debut. So October 20th is an extremely exciting day with lots to do and lots happening, so I hope you guys are ready for Global Tower Fantasy. October 20th is going to be massive. Furthermore, we did receive a Ruby trailer just recently, I believe yesterday if I'm not mistaken, and I have to say this was one of the better trailers that they've released for a brand new Simulacrum, so I was excited to see that, and seeing that trailer led me to want to do this video today where we talk about 5 things you may want to consider before pulling for Ruby. And I traditionally do these type of videos for new Simulacrums set to debut. I try and do them in advance so that way you can watch this video, take these things into consideration, and then make an educated decision for your account that's going to help you best, right? And these videos are more catered to newer players because there are newer players joining the game every day, especially with the Steam release coming here relatively soon, as well as my free-to-play players and light spenders, as your resources and red nucleus are limited, so you want to make sure you're making good choices for your account. If you're a veteran player, then you already know the deal and what you're going to do, and if you're a Giga Whale, well, you're a Giga Whale. You're just going to go ahead and do whatever it is you want to do as well. But if you do stick around and watch the content nonetheless, then I do truly appreciate you. And if you do stick around, make sure to like the video. It tells YouTube that this video is pretty decent, right? And if you're new here, go ahead and consider subbing, especially if you found this video to be helpful. I would love to have you join the FBG fam and stick around. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into those 5 things to consider before pulling for Ruby. So the first one, and this may be pretty obvious, once again this is going to be more catered to my newer players, is are you going to be a flame main, right? Because if you're a newer player, what you need to understand is that in the game of Tower Fantasy there are elements, and you do want to focus on at least one element in the beginning and then have a secondary element that you're going to be building up passively in the background after you have your main one really set to go. So you need to narrow down and focus on what element you are trying to main, and if that's flame, then Ruby's going to be right up your alley, right? So if you're going to be a flame main, then Ruby's going to be a great addition to that, because with Ruby comes the flame resonance. And if you're a new player and you miss out on Cobalt B, then you have Ruby as a backup with flame resonance, and it does appear as if Ruby is coming with the same charge and shatter, which is going to be nice. Obviously there have been some rebalances to her kit and her damage multipliers and percentages, but nonetheless I think Ruby's still going to perform beautifully. I think she's still going to be great, and she does come with utility. She's coming with CC, she's coming with some DPS, she has the shield breaking capabilities and the flame resonance. So Ruby's going to be a great addition. If you're a flame main, you pair her with some maybe standard characters that you have, like King, like Kuma, like Zero, and I think you're going to be perfectly fine, and you're going to be rocking and rolling, right? So Ruby's going to be great if you are trying to be a flame main. So you have to have that, I think, first and foremost and as a priority. Now, the second thing that you may want to consider if you are going to be pulling for Ruby is, can you guarantee getting yourself Ruby? So this one's going to be really for my light spenders and my free-to-play players. You want to, whenever you're looking at obtaining a new Simulacrum in the game, you always want to make sure that you have enough to at least guarantee yourself a copy, because the worst thing that can happen is that you gamble, you don't have the guarantee, and you try and pull for the Simulacrum anyways, hoping that you get lucky. You hopefully win the coin flip or the 50-50, and you lose it, and you get a standard character like Tsubasa, and you're a flame main. That is probably the worst thing that can happen to you. So if you're going to be going for Ruby, you just want to make sure that you have 120 guaranteed. So you need to take a look at where you're at on the pity, and then you need to take a look at your primary or your premium currency, whether it be the red nucleus or your dark crystals, whatever the case may be, and then make sure that you have enough to guarantee yourself the Simulacrum. Once again, the worst thing to do is to gamble, use your red nucleus or dark crystal, and you miss out on the 50-50, or you don't have enough to go to full pity, you didn't get lucky, and now you're missing out on Ruby, and you don't have enough time to farm up. Now, the great thing about Vera 2.0 is that it's going to be a brand new area. You're going to have a lot to farm. You're going to be able to farm up dark crystals and red nucleus. Hopefully, we're going to be getting tons of rewards and compensations and things of that nature. We'll have to wait and see. Those have been kind of lacking as of late, but I digress. We should be able to get enough, so you should be able to guarantee yourself, especially if you're a new player. You have a lot to explore, a lot to grab, a lot of premium resources, so you should have no issues guaranteeing yourself Ruby, but you just want to make sure that you can, so just take that into account and consideration, right? Moving on to the third thing to consider when it comes to Ruby and before you pull is, do you like her gameplay? This is one thing that I've mentioned with every simulacrum, is that you have to enjoy their gameplay. Because the reason being is, if you don't enjoy a simulacrum's gameplay, then you're not going to enjoy using them in game, which means you're most likely going to bench them no matter how good they are. I can't stress that enough. If you don't enjoy using them, you find them clunky, you don't like range, you don't like the way they play, you don't like the way they are optimized for getting the most damage, or the rotations that they're in within said team comp, then you're not going to enjoy using them in game. Hence, you're not going to use them at all, and they're going to be benched, and then you pulled for a simulacrum for no reason, just because people were telling you that they're OP, that they're overpowered, that they're amazing, and they're going to enhance your gaming experience, which would be true if you did enjoy the way they play. But if you don't enjoy the way they play, they're probably going to, instead of enhance, they're probably going to decrease your gaming experience. So those are things that you have to take into consideration. You really have to enjoy the gameplay, right? For example, I absolutely love Cobalt B's gameplay, but she's not the greatest simulacrum at A0 or A1. She really shines at A3 and above. But because I love her gameplay style so much, I still use her, even though she's a subpar simulacrum in my opinion. Like, she's good. Let me not say subpar. She's good. She's an A on my tier list, but you know what I mean. She's decent at best, but I use her because she's fun to play. So I'll bring her out every now and again, use her in my flame team comp, even though I'm a frost main. And use her just because she's fun and I like her gameplay. So that's just an example to use when it comes to that. So just take that into consideration, right? Now, the fourth thing to take into consideration is essentially to see who's coming next, right? This could be huge and this could be massive on your decision on what you want to do. And this is something that I preach all the time, that we usually get information about the next simulacrum that's coming in the game after the one that's going to be debuting pretty or relatively quickly. So for example, when Cobalt B debuted, the very same day we got information that Ruby was coming next, and we got information about Ruby and things of that nature. So my recommendation is to see who comes next, because Lyn may be the next one that comes, and you may want to simply save for Lyn because Lyn is that good, right? And we may get information on Lyn's kit and the rebalances that happen. So that's something that you can take into consideration. But if it's, let's say for example, Saki next and you're a flame main, you may want to then go in on Ruby and then go ahead and know that you're skipping Saki, and then Lyn's gonna be next afterwards. So it just gives you a little foresight on what you may want to do, gives you an idea of how you're going to move forward, right? All right, now last but not least, the fifth thing to consider, and to be quite honest with you, number 4 and 5 could have been lumped together, but 5 things to consider sounds better than 4 things to consider, admittedly. So number 5 is to be patient. And what do I mean by that? So that's why I said 4 can be lumped in with 5 as well, or 5 could have been lumped in with 4, because this does go along with being patient, see who's coming next. But also, to take it a step further, there are a lot of things that happens when a simulacrum debuts. If you're new to Tower of Fantasy, my biggest thing that I can always state to you when there's a new simulacrum is to be patient, to wait at least a day or two. And that's for a few reasons. The first one is what number 4 was, to see who's coming next. We usually get that information relatively quickly. The second reason is because there's usually mistranslations within the simulacrum's kit. This has happened multiple times here on Global Tower of Fantasy, and I have no doubt it's going to happen with Ruby. So be patient, wait a day or two and see what mistranslations happen, and then see what they fix when it comes to said mistranslation. For example, for Cobalt B, the advancement 1 or A1 was a complete mistranslation, and a horrible one at that. The fact that we still let them get away with it is kind of mind-boggling, to be honest with you, because that mistranslation was just egregious in my opinion, because it completely changed what A1 was and made it far worse than what it is. So right now, A1 states each round of barrage deals additional damage. This originally, when Cobalt B dropped, and for quite some time, stated each round of attack. So that is a stark contrast between what it was and what it is, or what it was supposed to be. And so people went for Cobalt B and even attempted to get A1 because A1 had some promise to it. It actually had some good utility and would lead to Cobalt B being actually a pretty good damage dealer, which she still is. But this A1 is a stark contrast to what it was, and actually far worse than what it was in my opinion. So the fact that we still let them get away with it with minimal compensation, in my opinion, is just egregious. But I digress. That's just one example of a mistranslation upon a Simulacrum's debut or release. So my recommendation is to be patient, wait to see what mistranslation happens with Ruby, and then see how it gets corrected, and then determine if it's still worth going for. That's going to be my biggest recommendation. But also being patient goes hand in hand with seeing what content creators are able to do with Ruby. Let them do their reviews, let them do their testing, and see how good Ruby actually is, because you can read on paper what a Simulacrum can do, and you can see the percentages and you can see the numbers, but until you start putting them in specific team comps, until you try them on different bosses in Bygone, until you put matrixy builds on them and really see what they're capable of, on paper can tell you what the story may be about, but actually testing them in game and doing reviews and doing proper testing will really tell you if the book is worth getting or not, right? So that is my recommendation, is for number 5, and probably one of the most important ones outside of number 1, is to be patient. See what's going to be coming next, see which mistranslations are occurring and how they correct them, and then let content creators do their testing and do their full reviews. Take all of those things into consideration, do your own research, and then make a logical choice for yourself, for your account, that is going to enhance your gaming experience the best, right? Those are my recommendations. Those are the 5 things that I think you can take into consideration before you pull for Ruby. And if you want to stay tapped into this channel, I'm going to have full reviews on Ruby like I did for Cobalt B. I'm going to do testing. Now, I don't guarantee that I'm going to be getting advancements on Ruby because I'm not admittedly a flame main. But if I get lucky, that'll be fantastic. And if I get an advancement or 2, of course, I'm going to go ahead and give you a review on it. But I will give you my overall thoughts on Ruby and what I think about her upon release. So if you want to stay tapped into the channel for that, that'll be greatly appreciated. And with that being said, I do hope you guys found the video helpful and enjoyable also. But I'm going to get on out of here at this time. So with that being said, remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody, but you can call me Further. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.